Shalom, welcome everybody. We're going to read Parashat VeZot HaBrakha, the last parasha of Deuteronomy and the last parasha of the Torah. If you would like to raise your hand or annotate on the screen, here's how you do it. Who would like to get us started and read this verse here? Okay. Thomas, go ahead. Turn your microphone on, please.
Sorry. Okay. וזאת הברכה אשר ברך משה איש האלוהים את בני ישראל לפני מותו.
Perfect. Excellent. VeZot HaBrakha, and this is the blessing, Asher berach Moshe, which Moses blessed, or with which Moses blessed. The implication with is probably related to, well, he blessed et the children of Israel. So he blessed them, well, with which he blessed them. Which Moses, Ish Elohim, the man of God. And when did he do it? Lifnei moto. What is the root of moto?
מות, also mem vav tav.
Very good. Mavet or moto.
Mavet. Yeah.
So we get to see this word showing up as possibly mut, met, mavet. Here it's mot. What's the difference between all of these? Or among all of these? If I said mut, what does that mean?
Die.
Die.
Well, yeah, but in what like if you had to parse it, what am I?
Oh, it's not imperative.
Well, yeah, okay, imperative. That would certainly work. A 2ms
Okay.
imperative, right? What about met?
Pierre?
It's a
No?
call. Met is a causative verb.
Oh. Ach, kama patar or tsera, no? Dative.
All right, so let me give you a I guess a hint. The original form would be mawet, which turns into met. So what form is this? Mawet, which is the same as karev. No? Karev or tzameh or savea, chaser, sameach, ayef. They all have the a sound. What are they?
State of being.
They're state of being participles. They're participles. And so this would be our masculine singular form, like dying or he is dying or something like that. But it's a state of being, just like karev is. And this triphthong awe turns into simply e. So we lose that vav. Vavs are weak letters. They often go missing or turn into vowels. Here it went missing. All right. And then what is mavet?
Death.
Death in the sense of a noun.
Noun, yes.
Is it absolute or construct? If you see it like in this form.
I think it's absolute.
It's an absolute noun. And now for the follow-up question, what is mot?
Infinitive?
No? Oh, no, the infinitive would be lamut. If it were an infinitive absolute, yeah, then maybe it would be mot.
Construct?
Yeah, exactly. So this is also a construct form, a noun construct, construct noun. So if I want to say the death of Moses, I wouldn't say Mavet Moshe, I would say Mot Moshe.
Okay.
And this is probably closer to the more original form of the word or whatever, because it's what shows up in suffixed forms, mot. So this is your noun, but construct form.
Man, dying is complicated.
The only reason it's complicated is because of the weak letter vav.
We must learn.
If it weren't for the vavs and the yods and the noons, Hebrew would be much, much simpler. So your goal is to be able to look at some of these weird forms and go, wait a minute, what letter's missing? What trick is it playing on me? Is it a yod, a vav, a noon, or maybe something else that's causing it to look so strange? All right, who would like to read the next verse? Oh, right. Oh, I remember this right here. When you get to this part, just read this word here. Who would like to read? I don't see any hands yet. No one. Jesse, please go ahead.
Vaomer Adonai Misini, Misine,
Misinai.
Ba Vetzarach Misir Lamo Hofia Mehar Haran Ve'ata Merivot Kodesh Miminu Eshtat
Mhm,
Lamo.
Eshdat lamo.
Um,
Very good. Vayomar Adonai misinai ba וזרח משעיר לעמו, הופיע מהר פרן, ועתה מרבבות קודש, מימינו אש דת לעמו. All right, did you understand any of this?
and he said,
Right. Okay, this is not the standard Vayomer. It's now Vayomar. Why? What's the difference between Vayomer and Vayomar? It's a syntax question. They mean the same thing, but it's a matter of syntax. If you see, go ahead, Cheryl.
Um, never mind. I thought I had it, but I don't
You
think.
probably do. Here's your hint right there.
And he was saying, or he.
It's still a vav. It's still a vayiktol vav consecutive, so it's still narrative past tense. And then the next thing that happened is he said. The difference is how much of a pause comes after it. When you see vayomer, it's syntactically closely related to the words that follow. When it's vayomar, there's a space, there's a pause, there's a distance. So remember we saw that this is the blessing with which Moses blessed the children of Israel. And he said, pause. This is what looks to me like a comma before a direct quote. What did he say? Blah, 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 blah. Here it comes. And that's all because of Vayomar instead of Vayomer. If it were Vayomer Adonai, then I would assume that Adonai is the subject who is doing the verb of speaking. But because it's
So it's a vayikol, is what you're saying.
correct, both Vayomer and Vayomar, they're Vayiktol narrative past.
So is the diamond, that cantillation mark, does that mean it's pausal?
Okay, pausal is a strong word. Remember, there are 5 different levels of cantillation marks, and it's really only the top 2 that are really considered pausal. But 4 out of 5 of them are disjuncting, just to a different degree. So, in a fuzzy way, the answer to your question is yes. But remember, there are 4 levels of disjunction. So, which one is this one? That's kind of a tertiary question at this point. But it's not that it's. Do I want to say it's a pausal form or not? That's a good question. I don't want to say it's a pausal form. I guess I have to. I didn't really think about it, but I guess I have to say that it's a pausal form. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Hadn't really thought of that before, but yeah, I guess it has to be. Which is telling us that there's a comma, and therefore this is what he said. The Lord from Sinai came and rose up from Seir, so on and so forth. All right, let's see. Adonai misinai ba. Did I? Yeah, I did. I did read the whole thing. Yes, I did. Okay. Zarach. Does anybody know? Does anybody know the character in the Bible whose name is Zerach?
Hmm.
Familiar.
It is getting there. He and his brother, Crimson Cord.
Oh, that's the
Eretz and Zerah?
the twins. The
Very good.
Tamar
Mhm.
Perez.
That's it. Peretz and Zerach.
Yeah.
Very good. Peretz means to, breach or to break out. And then Zarach, the verb, means something like to shine forth, usually in reference to the sun. And that's why Mizrach is the Hebrew word for east.
Mhm.
Mizrach, the place of the shining forth of the sun. Miseir, which is the place of, or the location where Esau was living after Jacob left for Padan Aram. Hophia Mehar Paran. He appeared or was bright or something like here. They say shine forth for Hophia. Does anybody know the word Hofa'ah? Surprise! A hofa'ah is a surprise, but in biblical times, it refers
Mhm.
something more to something catching your eye, like catching you off guard almost. So shining forth, Mehal Paran, from the Mount Paran. What is Atah?
You?
It looks like
You normally,
yeah.
Yep, yep. Somebody took the bait. Okay, so that if
or it is. It can be. Aleph tab is a time. No, doch. It's a with or a preposition,
okay,
and with
if it's
kamatse as a direction.
how can you have towards direct object marker? You could put
Because there
a
is no
suffix on there
Dageschrift.
like this, like otah or itah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's differentiate all of these. Here is
Ata
the
is okay.
pronoun.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your pronoun. Ta,
Yes.
you.
You.
There's a dagesh right there and the patach right
Mhm.
there. Otah means that's what
Um,
it's a direct object marker, 3
from
FS. Her.
yeah, her. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like she's the one receiving the action of the verb, her. I
Mhm.
love her. Otah.
Mhm.
Oh.
And then we have itah right here. What is this one?
With her.
With her. So this is the other preposition that looks like et, but this is with instead of direct object marker, with her. I'm going to the
Mhm.
store, itah, with her. But this is
Mhm.
none of these. This is ata,
Kamatz. And
kamatz,
without
kamatz,
Dagesh.
and no
Yes.
dagesh. What we're looking at is a root of aleph tav yod.
Ach so. Ach,
It's a kal, katal, 3ms. It's a verb. Does anybody know the word Maranatha?
Maranatha.
No. Mhm.
God, please come.
Maran is master or Lord, and
Krass.
Ata
Mhm.
is Ata.
Mm.
Come, O Lord. And this is a New Testament
Yeah.
word that Paul uses. It's an Aramaic word that means "come, O Lord," or "come,"
Cool.
implied "come quickly."
Yes.
So this is a very rare find for us that Hebrew is using this verb. This is
Oh.
something that usually shows up in Aramaic, but because we're looking at ancient Hebrew here, we're looking at a time when Aramaic and Hebrew were closer relatives
Ah.
and therefore shared a lot more vocabulary.
Mhm.
Ve'ata me rivavot kodesh. Rivavot is a number. Reviva, no. Yeah, reviva. No, riva. Oh gosh,
Reva?
I'm having trouble remembering which one it is. So reviva, yeah, it's reviva, revivot. Anyway, it means myriads, 10,000.
Mm,
Ah.
So from the 10,000s or myriads of Kodesh, holy ones, which here they translate as saints. Mi no. We're missing a dagesh right there. Yod with a shva will often forego a dagesh. Mi means from. Yemino, his yamin. Sorry, I raised the wrong hand. His right hand. And then we get Eshdat. Eshdat Lamo. The we see some square brackets here and then some parentheses here. Does anybody know what that means in this particular font? The square brackets versus the parentheses. The square brackets are what are actually supposed to be in the scroll. Obviously, it's not going to have vowel pointings unless you're looking at a, Westminster Leningrad Codex or something. But the parentheses are what the scribes want us to read it as. Rather than reading it as a single word, Eshdat, they want us to read it as Esh dot, which is kind of funny because Esh is fire, and I'm sorry, it's funny because of dot. Dot is a Persian loan word that we don't get to see until the time of Esther, and it means something like decree, and ultimately in modern Hebrew, it means religion. So we get to see like fiery Torah or something like that in the modern understanding. Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. Apparently, the Esh dot is supposed to be some sort of Akkadian loan word that means something like angels. Eshtat Lamo.
And very interesting. There are cantillation marks as a construct chain. Yes, Eshdat.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Yeah, exactly. So the scribes are the ones in charge of putting cantillation marks, and they're also the ones in charge of telling us how to read it. So they want us to read it as two separate words. But it's just funny that this is a loan word from thousands of years after the fact.
Yeah.
man, this is a lot going on all of a sudden.
Can I ask a quick question here?
Sure, go ahead, Cheryl.
It's because of you, Thomas, but the cantillation marks, those indicate, I can't remember the names of them, but do they indicate that what's between them is a construct chain? Tipra mercha.
I guess there are exceptions to that rule, but yeah, I guess that's
a clue.
Yeah, look, it just means that they're okay. It's part of a cantillation phrase.
Phrase. Yeah.
From here to here is a single cantillation phrase. So here we get a little break right there. These two are tightly syntactically connected, and then lamo is a disjunction because it's the end of the verse, and this is the Caesar in charge of this king, and I think I can't remember if that's a king or what level it is. Remember I said there were 5 levels. So the fact that you have these two next to each other, yeah, that's a very common trope phrase, cantillation mark phrase. Is it always going to be a construct chain? No, not always.
There is an mimino is under the mem a cantillation mark. It's the same
kind
like
of,
lamo.
kind of. Okay, so the cantillation mark is this. It's not Zakef Katon. What is it? Whatever this is your cantillation mark. If you want me to look it up, I can. This right here is meteg. Now meteg
and the other is gadol.
It's a gedola.
Yeah.
Zakef Gdola.
Yeah. Zakef gadol. Without the line is Zakef katan.
No,
I think.
This is Katon.
Yeah. And the other is gadol.
Gadol, right. Okay, so now you said under the mem is another cantillation mark. I wouldn't agree with you there. It's a meteg, and the main purpose of a meteg is to slow down just a bit. For whatever reason, slow down just a bit. So whether that means we're looking at secondary stress whether it means that there should have been something here that got lost, like a shva and a dagesh, whether it means that this was supposed to be a reduced vowel, but it got, excuse me, this was supposed to be in a closed syllable, but now it's in an open syllable because the following syllable couldn't take a reduced vowel. You know, there are at least 5 different usages that I know of for meteg. But in general, the idea is slow down just a bit. So me, me, no. Me, me, no. Do we have any other metegs? No, we don't. Not in here. Well, we can keep an eye out for them anyhow. All right. Any last comments on this before we go to the next verse?
So the flashing is an angel? Angels?
Okay, so what they want us to understand it as versus what it probably is are 2 different things. If we're talking about some sort of flashing Torah or law, that would be the Orthodox position, and that would be related to esh, fire or fiery, something. And then dot, Torah, law, religion, something like that. But my argument is that this is completely incorrect, and it should be translated as something completely else related to an Akkadian word that means something more like seraphim, maybe, fiery angels, possibly.
Okay, I like your interpretation.
Meh.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, who's the next reader? Go ahead, Christine.
Af chovev amim kol kadoshav be yadecha vehem tu ku lerag lecha yisha no yisa midab beroteha.
Are these readings hard so far?
They're a little up and down.
New word.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
this
right.
is
There's some stuff going on here we don't normally.
right. What we're doing right now is we're dabbling in a text that is usually reserved for the highest level of biblical Hebrew because it is ancient poetry.
Oh,
Poetry in the Bible is usually a little bit more terse and doesn't follow the rules very well, but ancient poetry is going to preserve more ancient nuances that don't show up in most of the rest of the Bible. This is a good indication that what you're reading here is genuinely ancient. And less likely that somebody later on had their hands on it to try to airbrush it, bring it up to date, something like that. This is probably some original, the oldest forms of biblical Hebrew in the Bible. Other examples would be like the Song of Moses, Song of Deborah, the prayer of Hannah, the blessings of the 12 sons, and things like that are ancient biblical poetry. So if it's harder to read, that's why. It's because it is.
Okay, good.
So let's see what we can derive from it anyway. Af chovev amim kol kdoshav biyadecha vehem tuku leraglecha yisa midabrotecha. All right. What do you all not understand from this verse? You decide where we go to. We know the words doshav, kodesh, his holy ones, biadecha, in your hand.
in your hand, yeah.
What about yisa?
Yeah, that was weird.
Is it?
Lift
I see a
up.
strong
Yeah.
dagesh. Say again, Cheryl.
Is it to lift up?
Of course. What's the root?
Nasa.
So use your imagination to put the noon back in to where it should go, and all of a sudden it looks like a regular verb again.
There's my NASA reference, and I didn't even get it. It's my big
Exactly. Nasa, to lift, bear, carry, lift up, raise, something like that.
rocket.
We get a kamatz here instead of a patach. Well, we get a kamatz here instead of a patach or a cholam. Why? Well, it's a yiktol. Usually in yiktol we get an o vowel, except, well, if there's a guttural, for example, and there's an aleph, so we get a patach, right? Wait, why is it a kamatz? Did aleph quiesce at the end of the syllable?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. And when that happens, it's now an open syllable, so it lengthens to a full kamatz. Almost all of your, can't think of an exception, almost all, no, I'll go ahead and say all of your lamed aleph, I guess I'll call it, final letter aleph verbs in the yiktol, you expect them to have a kamatz if the aleph quiesced. So can you think of any other roots that end in an aleph?
Bara,
Bara, kara, yara. No, that's good for now. How do you say he will create?
Yivra,
Yiv.
Yivra.
Good. How do you say she will call?
Tikra,
Tikra. How do you say we will fear?
Nira,
Nira.
Nira.
Right. It should have been ni. Nira, but I mean, here Yod is already a vowel, so it just turns it into a vowel. Nira. Yeah. So in all of these cases, we have a kamatz. When won't we have a kamatz? Well, how would you say they will call?
Tikra'u.
They, not you all.
Also, tik,
Ra'u,
Yeah. New.
yikra'u.
Mm-hmm. Yikra'u. Here,
Ja,
the aleph is
yikra'u.
no longer at the end of a syllable, so it has not quiesced.
Ach.
That's why it's now part of this syllable. It's only when the aleph quiesces where we expect something to happen to the vowel. Ooh, in the previous, did we? I don't know if it was the previous verse or two verses. Oh, it's the two verses ago. Zot. Does this have a quiesced aleph in it? Yes.
Yes.
You can tell it's a quiesced
Yes.
aleph because there's no vowel attached to the aleph.
But
Okay.
the long O vowel.
Well, the long O vowel is attached to the zayin.
Yes, yes. But
Zot.
it's
Zot.
so.
And there are multiple places where we see an aleph with no vowel on it. In all of those cases, the aleph has quiesced, and I would argue that it's quiescing at the end of a syllable. Wait a minute, Jared. That's not the end of a syllable? Well, not anymore, it isn't. If you have your original case ending, which was sort of an oo vowel at the end, it would have been zotu. But when Hebrew dropped off all the case endings, then what? Then we have an anomaly. Nevertheless, the aleph stayed quiesced. What about koret? What should have been koret, right? A participle, feminine singular. It should have been koret. Nevertheless, in Hebrew, it's koret. Is that
Is reading.
Yes, exactly. Like she is reading. This is also a
And
quiesced aleph.
and
How about in,
correct is
it
called.
doesn't
As a
exist.
call. As a calling.
Koret isn't a real version of this word. Hebrew quiesced the aleph, and now it's just koret. But we would expect
Correct.
koret. Sorry,
Correct.
no go. All right. Any other words with some quiesced olives in them? How about thon?
Sheep.
Ah,
Yeah,
so, yes.
flocks or sheep
Hmm.
sheep and goats. How about
It's the same pattern.
how about Yomar? Isn't that what got us? No, it's not what got us started. This is what got us started. Yomar also has a quiesced olive there.
Hmm.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for those. And midabrotecha. Oh, I'm curious about this.
Yeah.
What are we looking at here? I'm not coming to this question saying that I have the answer. If
I
you
like
just
it.
ran if you just ran into this word, what would be your first impressions?
I wouldn't come up and sat down. I don't know.
Double week.
If it's poetry,
Yeah.
that's the game changer, because to sit down in somebody's steps means you're really taking your time with what they're doing and meditating on it. That's what sort of hit me when you said poetry. Then it
Mm.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Literally,
I
it doesn't
agree.
make, yeah, literally it
Um,
doesn't make sense.
All right. So help me out though. If I had to look this word up in a dictionary, what would I do?
Cry.
Cry?
Who said
Tough,
that? Jesse,
tough,
Me.
tough
No,
bit.
Christine did.
Christine.
Dead crier.
Look, it's got an ooh at the end, and we know that the subject is him.
Kal.
Okay. So
Katal.
it seems to be a katal
The
form,
negation.
right? A katal 3CP with that
Yeah.
ooh ending. So then what?
Okay, it's not Yiktor, it's a Katal, yes, and that is Tav.
Well, right. So it can't be.
Call.
See, when I first read it, first thing I thought is, oh, clearly it's a yiktol hufal of the root
Yeah.
naka. No, it's not, because hem is your subject.
Yes.
So what's our what? Ooh, what do we do with the rest of it?
There is a assimilate vowel.
Okay. How about this? We know that the tav must be part of the root. We see a doubling dagesh in the kaf. So, and we see an oo vowel right here. So why wouldn't it be a pu'al of a taf kaf or tav kaf yod root? I don't know. Is that a possibility? What if it were a pu'al 3CP of the root tav kaf yod? Are there any other options it could be?
No, that looks great, yes.
Well, I'd like to double check my work. You guys cool with that? Let's have a look at this. What are we in?
Yeah.
Chapter 33, right? Deuteronomy
I
33.
think it's right. I see that verb. I hope. Yeah, that, yes. Oh, wonderful.
Look at that. Tav kaf. They say hey. They say
Vav.
hey, but the
Okay.
point is it's a yod, and they are calling it a why?
Yeah.
Why? Why? Why would it be PL? There's no reason for it to be PL. It should be a pu'al. I would I would want to check to make sure that's.
Is that like the same like kum and com to raise
Right.
up?
So that would be the polel, right? The PL would be the so-called polel form. So we get words like shovav. No, not shovav. So what am I saying? Sovav, sovev. There it is. Sovev, like this. And this is a PL form. Doesn't look like a PL form, but it's a specialized PL form called polel, which only applies to hollow roots and geminate roots. If that were the case, then that means the third common plural form would be either sovevu or would it be sobu? No, it'd be sovevu. Sovevu, like this. So I would still argue that no, it can't be a polel form, but they're certainly saying that it's PL, and I disagree. Makes me wonder if it's like a passive. So what was the meaning of the root?
Sat down.
Sit down.
No, I mean not the gloss, but rather the
Mm.
I didn't see it.
let's see. Here it calls it a primitive root to
Yeah.
strew or encamp.
Yeah.
And
You know,
can.
In my
what my next question is. How many times does it show up in the Bible? Once.
in my phone app, it's a
Unicorn alert.
Unicorn alert. So I think your phone app is right that it's a pu'al.
Yes,
This is a
pu'al.
one-time occurrence in the whole Bible. So that was a lot of fun.
That's fun.
Tuku, they because it's passive, it makes me think something like they were made to set or caused to set down or something. I don't know. Some sort of a passive in your steps. Yisa, and they shall lift up. I guess they're translating as receive. Mi dabrotecha. And
that's right. The paradigm list say lamed yod verb is the same pattern.
Is it lifting up
I
or
think
carry?
I think it's lift.
Carry.
He shall carry, or he shall lift up. The question is who? Is God the one who's carrying someone or something? Mi dabrotecha, from your words? No, because the who is the cha must be you, right? In your hand. Isn't that your speaking to? Hang on a second. Yes, he loves the people, all saints in your hand. Okay, I see kedoshav, his, and I see biyadecha, your. Who is the he? Who is the you? We might have to go back to check the context, right? Moses said, the Lord, third person, did this, did that, and he came, his right hand, to him. Yeah, so God is to him. So when we see Kedoshav, that's referring to God, his saints. Biyadecha, in your hand, speaking to each individual Israelite. And mi dabrotecha, your words. See, they capitalize your here. So the translator certainly thinks this is God, but in the previous in the previous verse, third person was referring to God. Oy vey. Looks like it's going back and forth. Who's the his and who's the your? We must be in poetry.
And off. How is off in that nose? How is that? Yes.
Okay, so the root for off is aleph nun pei. And so we get to see off in the sense of nose coming from the root with a silent nun. But then there's another word, afilu. Well, it's more from Aramaic, but whatever. The point is that it's probably, hang on a second. Afilu. Yeah, it would be from Aleph Pei Yod, and this is the af we see here. Something meaning indeed or even.
Okay.
Even. So it's another one of those words that looks the same, but it comes from two different roots. If I put his nose, if I put a suffix on here, what would it be? Afo? No, there's a nun. It would be apo. So you get to see in the construct form that there's a difference. Over here, afilu, but over here, apo. And it's because of that nun there. Does anybody know what a karnaf?
It's a wing from bird.
Okay, so that's kanaf.
Can be. Can be.
That's kanaf with a kaf, kanaf.
Ah,
No, what I'm trying, and
yeah.
I'm sure I'm misspelling it here.
Karnaf. Ach, Karnaf.
Karnaf.
I wonder if that's supposed to karana. I think I'm misspelling it, but whatever. I'm going to spell it like this. It's a modern
Okay.
Hebrew word, karnaf, and it's the words keren, which is a horn,
Mhm. Yes.
combined with anf,
Mhm.
nose.
Ach, come on.
Rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros. Exactly. So here in that word, you get to see the noon. But most of the time, off, you don't get to see the noon.
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't
Right.
think I was going to end up with rhinoceros out of that. That's pretty fascinating.
That's pretty fascinating. Hebrew does
It's
makes a lot of new words by combining two older roots. How about this one right here? Um, uh,
hmm?
how about this one right here?
That's a
Software.
traffic
So,
light.
Read it. What is it?
Traffic light. Ramzor.
Oh, Ramzor. Ramzor. What two words is it combining?
Height and light.
What is a remez?
A hint.
A hint. What is or? Of course, there's an aleph missing, but what is an or? It's a light.
Right.
light.
Exactly. There you go. A light hint.
Ach,
Hey, you, slow down. Hey, you, go. Hey, you, stop. It's a light that gives you a hint as to what you're supposed to do. A ramzor.
Jerry, can I make
Um,
can I expand on your previous example? You used keren is a form of karan in the consonant only with if we remove the vowels, you're looking at Exodus 34:35. So you've got the horns of light coming off Moses' face.
Right. Yeah. And that's why Moses has
Oh,
horns
yeah,
in
it's
so
horns
many
in the Vatican.
medieval, exactly, in so many medieval sculptures. He has horns. Okay, how about this one? Rachbal.
Horns of light.
Rachbal.
Rachbal. This is another example of combining two words together.
Rachav. Oh, no.
Okay, rechev. That's one of them.
Soft. Rach is soft.
Rach is soft, but it's not rach. It's rechev.
Rachev.
And then this
Bal.
one is the other one is right here.
Ah,
Hevel.
Chebe.
Here, this is a loan from English. What's a cable?
Mm.
It's a wire, a lead, a cable.
Mhm.
So this is a cable car. Rachbal.
Ach,
It's a cable car. So it's fascinating to see how modern Hebrew does this. And the reason that modern Hebrew does it is because you get to see it every once in a while showing up in biblical Hebrew as well. So the precedent is already set in biblical Hebrew, but
Don't try and tell them that. They don't want to hear it.
is
oh
there
my
a
goodness.
dagesh in the? Is there a dagesh?
In the bet, yes. There's a weak dagesh in the bet. Rachbal.
Yeah.
All right, who's going to read the
In
next verse?
the Bal. Ach, Rachbal. Okay.
Rachbal. Dagesh in the bet.
Because one consonant is assimilate
Mm,
or not.
no, it's a
Hmm.
not quite. It's just because it's a weak dagesh. It's a bet at the beginning of a syllable, so it gets weak dagesh. Who's the next reader?
Okay.
Paulina?
Is that Jesse or me?
No. Jessie keeps her hand up the whole time in case nobody else raises their hand. She gets to read.
Bara Ziva Lanu Moshe Morasha Kahilat Yaakov.
Very good. Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha kehilat Yaakov. This is a good. Hang on a second. Okay, this could be an example of ellipsis.
Mhm.
Okay, first off, before I get into that, though, I want to point out that biblical poetry is usually parallel, meaning you say the same thing twice using different words.
Mhm.
We've talked about this a little bit before. Torah tziva lanu Moshe. So here's your verb. There's your subject. Moses is doing the action of, or did the action of commanding. What did he command? A Torah. Instructions, like fatherly or teacher-like instructions is a better translation than law, but whatever. Lanu, to us. So this is our object, and this is our indirect object. Morasha Kehilat Yaakov. Wait, there's no verb in this second part. I dare say there's not even a subject in the second part. Are we to assume that there is an ellipsis here? That Moses commanded a Torah for us, and Moses commanded, instructed, commanded, provided, I don't know, a morasha to Kehilat Yaakov, us? So we get to see Kehilat Yaakov, the congregation of Jacob, being parallel to Lanu, right? To us, Lanu. And then Morasha is parallel to,
Torah.
I guess, if Moses is the one who's enacting, enabling, making it happen, then yeah, maybe it's parallel to that. So where's our subject and verb? Moshe Tziva. Maybe it's ellipsis. Maybe we're supposed to assume these two things are supposed to be understood
Sure,
right here,
ellipsis,
even though they're not.
Sam.
That's the ellipsis. That's the ellipsis. Very good.
And yeah, and Morasha is feminine, and the Torah is feminine, also feminine.
That's right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And the cantillation marks are now in the other direction, but it is a complete construct chain with 3 words.
Okay. Well, no, this is a verb.
No, left side.
Okay, that is not
Morasha,
a construct chain, because if it were, it would have a
no?
patach with a tav.
Yes. Oh, yes. The inheritance of the
Very
congregation.
good.
Yeah,
So
you
by
know.
seeing this tipacha right here, that is disjuncting.
Yes.
So there's a bit of a
It's
pause
not
right
a
here. And
yeah.
what's that pause there for? Well, to help us to remember that this is probably an ellipsis and that it's disjuncted from what follows. That is to say that Kehilat Yaakov is being used syntactically different than Morasha. Morasha is your object. Kehilat Yaakov is your indirect object. But yeah, here we've got another Merchat Tipacha right there. Someone asked earlier whether you'll always see
Yes.
these Merchat Tipacha in construct chain. Like, well, no, not really. Here's an example of it not really being. But it's syntactically connected. We're supposed to read this all together. Torah tziva lanu, who? Moshe. Pause. What else did he do? Morasha, to whom? Kehilat Yaakov.
And this disjunctive is not conjunctive, yes?
Correct. It is not conjunctive.
Okay.
The mercha is more conjunctive, this one.
Okay.
And the tipacha is more disjunctive.
Oh,
here.
cool. Yes. Yeah.
Why is there a dagesh in the word kehilat? Is it a strong dagesh? Is it a weak or strong dagesh?
Wow.
Hint: weak dagesh only shows up in Begad Kefat letters. It's a strong. Lamed is not a Begad Kefat letter, right?
Yeah.
Begad Kefat. It's none of those 6 letters. And there's a vowel preceding it. So it is a strong dagesh. Now the only question is, why? I have a real letdown answer for you. Euphonics.
Is it a coal mine?
Euphonic.
Coal mines are okay, so Lamed is a coal mine letter, but that's a different phenomena, concept, I guess. And it's usually the coal mine letters that will reject a dagesh if there's a shva under them, like we saw earlier with mi no. Mi no. We saw there was a chirik there, chirik there. There should have been a shva and dagesh right here. Yod rejected it because it's a yod with a shva. It's a coal mine letter. So while it is true that lamed is a coal mine letter, we don't have a shva under it, so that's a different concept. Any idea why there's a strong dagesh in the lamed? No. It's just euphonics. It sounds better. U means good, phonics means sound. It sounds better, so it got put in there. There is no grammatical reason for there to be a lamed there. There's no grammatical reason for there to be a strong dagesh there, except for euphonics. Wait, so if there's a strong dagesh, does that mean it's read differently? Historically, yes. Historically, when there's a strong dagesh, it means that you hang on it a little bit longer. Kahilat. You can Hebrew doesn't do that anymore, obviously, but there are still some Arabic words where you can really hear it, like yallah, or they hang out on the lamed, yalla, yallah, where you hang out on the lamed is because there's a dot in it. There's the equivalent of a strong dagesh. So this would have historically originally been Kehilat Yaakov, where you hang out on it. And it's just euphonics. Sorry.
I'd like to venture, based on what you just said, the previous word in question in the former verse, tuku, would be then a form of tribute on behalf of the saints. The tribute was paid in two ways. One in monetary value, and the other at the foot. They would bow before the king in tribute. In this case, they're sitting at the feet.
All right, you're going to have to defend that for me. You're going to have to defend that position. What does? First off, it's
because
a hapax legomenon.
The inheritance would be something that they will receive in the future. So they're paying tribute. The tuku is the tribute. I'm just putting it out there to see what you think.
I'm thinking. Let's see. I want to know. Oops, go back. Go back. Yeah, here it is. Tuku. And let's go have a look over at the Septuagint and see what happens there. Under what? In your hand, yes, he loves, and they sit down at your feet. They are under you, and he receives of his words. All right, so I need to know, does anybody have a pretty good handle on Greek? Let's see if I can get this. Spare under R.
I have a handle, but I don't know if it's good.
You. Oh, okay. So it's translating it as hypo, under, like hypoglycemic, having low sugar, or hypothermia. So it's translating the Hebrew word as underneath or under. Okay. What about are there some how about receiving? Oh. Here they were. This is the Peshitta Tanakh, the Syriac Arab. I don't want to say that. Yeah, we can call it we'll call it the Eastern Aramaic translation of the Bible. It was a Christian venture, probably in 2nd century, but whatever. Here they translate it as mikablin, like to receive.
This I do have another Septuagint translation coming off of the well, let's forget the origin for a minute, but this one says in 33:3, and let his people repent, and all those who are sanctified by your hands, and these are under you, and accept from his words the law that Moses commanded us, an inheritance. So it speaks of them
Right.
receiving the inheritance
Yeah.
and repenting. And then repentance would be a form of tribute because you'd
Right.
be bowing at their feet.
But still, even what you just read includes that under, which is the translation for the tuku. All right, who's the next reader?
I'll go.
All right, go ahead, Cheryl.
Vahi v'yeshu bishurun melech v'hitasef rashi am yachad shiftei Yisrael.
Very good. Vayhi vishurun melech behit asef rashi am yachad shiftei Yisrael. I think this is the verse that Jewish Orthodoxy uses to ascribe to Moses kingship. He was a king in Yeshurun. Can anybody tell what the root of Vishurun is?
Yeshar.
Yashar. That's what it looks like.
Yeshav.
What is Yashar?
Yashar. Straight.
Straight, in the sense of either plains, or if you're speaking about someone's character, then it's someone who's honest. They have a straight up character. But Yeshurun is one of the names in the Bible that's attributed to Israel. And here's sort of a repeat over here, Shiftei Yisrael. So apparently this is parallel. So, and he was, maybe Moses, according to Orthodoxy, a king among Israel, Yeshurun, Behitasef Rashi Am, in the gathering together of the heads of the people, Yachad Shiftei Yisrael, together the tribes of Israel. What binyan is this word? Behitasef?
Hitpael.
Clearly
Hitpael.
hitpael. What form is it? Katal, yiktol, imperative. What form is it? Hint, there's a b at the beginning.
Prefix.
Call.
PL.
Not binyan. No, I'm not
The
asking what
noun.
binyan. We've already
In there.
said that the binyan is hitpael. So
Oh.
kal and pl are not correct answers because those are
Qatar.
binyamin. Okay,
Qatar.
katal would mean he or someone else did it. Can you put a preposition in front of a katal form?
No.
Normally not.
Infinitive.
Yeah.
Construct.
Yeah. It's an infinitive construct.
Yeah.
So that's like to gather together. But if you translate it that way, then it doesn't make sense. Watch this. In to gather together of the heads of the people. Yeah, that sounds stupid. So if we turn it into sort of an ing form, which is still a substantive and we can treat it like a noun, then it sounds better. In the gathering together of the heads of the people. So what you're looking at here is essentially a 3-word construct chain. Infinitive constructs are nouns.
Yeah.
They are a noun describing an action, even though they don't say who did it or when. It's still some sort of a noun action. The action of gathering together. And then Yahad, together. Shiftei Yisrael, there's another construct chain. What is a shevet?
What's the question?
What is a shevet?
A tribe.
Yes. by extension, it's a
Oh.
tribe. What's the originally mean? A shevet.
Shevet.
It's a
The
rod or
staff.
staff.
Yeah.
It's a
Staff.
rod or staff in the sense of some sort of tribal standard. So the staff ultimately turns into the meaning of tribe by extension. But originally, a shevet is a staff. Does anybody know the month name Shvat?
Tu Bishvat.
Like Tu B'Shvat, exactly.
and
Same root. Here it comes. Beating. A staff is used for clonking your sheep on the head because they did something they shouldn't have done. It's for getting them to go do what they're supposed to do. So why is there a month called Shvat?
That's when you beat your
It's when what?
when you beat the sheep. It's the month of sheep beating.
It's the month of sheep beating. I wonder if it has more to do with maybe, I wonder if it has more to do with the rainy season where these beating rains are coming down. Or at least that's the reason that I read when I was studying the names of the months of the Hebrew calendar. They said it has to do with the month of the beating rains or something like that. I'm like,
So it's a
okay.
winter month. It's a winter month.
Yeah. Like right now we're in Kislev. After Kislev is Tevet, and after that is Shvat. So it'd be somewhere around like
February.
February. Yeah, somewhere around there. So it's the coldest part of winter. But in the Middle East, that's basically just like the rainy season.
California too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, next reader.
One question.
Yes, Thomas.
When when the Behit Azef Rashi, when this is a contact chain with 3 words, where are the conjugation marks? The double dot and the
There's one there,
This
one
one?
there, and one there.
that is that's also a contact chain.
Try to okay. In a construct chain, you would expect that all of the construct words, not the last absolute one, but all the construct words would have some sort of a some sort of a cantillation mark that connects it to the following word. So all we're looking for is that this and this are going to be more conjuncting, and then the last absolute form will be the disjuncting one. So it's not necessarily a kind of formula where all construct chains will have certain cantillation marks. No, but all construct chains will have a certain category of cantillation marks. So all of the construct forms will have more conjuncting or at least less disjuncting. And the last one will be more disjuncting, like the katon is disjuncting and the siluk is disjuncting, because that's the end of the construct chain.
So does
that is you can?
does the b in the gathering of the people, does that just apply to that word, or we ran into this before and I'm still a bit confused about it. So it's it just applies to the first word of that construct chain.
I'm not sure you could say it that way. No, because this noun is in construct form with those, that means this is all a single nominal unit. Okay, so if I'm talking about the gathering together, well, that means nothing unless I have the next word, which means nothing unless I have the next word. So this is a package deal. The gathering together of the heads of the people is one single nominal unit that has modifiers coming after it. So the be, if I wanted to talk about a prepositional phrase, at least in Hebrew, I would say, here's my preposition, and all of that is the object of the preposition.
The noun,
yeah. Now, some people would probably disagree with me and say, no, this is just the noun of the preposition, and these are just modifiers of it. And I would feel like we're saying the same thing. It's still a package deal.
Yeah. Good, thank you.
One question.
Yep.
Because every construct chain begins with a conjunctive and ended with a disjunctive. Normally,
While
yes.
I want to agree with you, that is very, very, very good. While I want to agree with you, it is possible for one of these other ones to just be a less disjunctive one. Remember, there are 5 levels. 5 levels of conjunction and disjunction. Only the last one is conjunction. This one is a major disjunction. And this one is the least disjuncting. Remember that the cancellation marks care more about how to read the text in the right timing with the right vocalization. They want to control how you're reading the text. So they're not as concerned about the
Yes.
grammatical idea of a construct chain. But in general, yes, you're absolutely right. Construct chains are going to have less disjuncting marks on the construct forms and more disjuncting ones on the absolute form.
Ah, yeah. The absolute form is the last word.
Mm-hmm. All right, who wants to read next? Eileen, you want to read? Go ahead. Welcome.
Vayehi Reuven ve'al ve'mot Vayehi mi miot
Matav.
matav mi sofer
Mispav.
mispar
Mispav. Very good. Yechi Reuven ve'al yamot vihi matav mispav. All right, what is yechi? What's the root?
life
Yechi.
Von Chai.
Right, exactly.
Sorry.
It's from Chet Yod Yod. Tell you what, I want to start over here first and then go back to Yechi. What is Vihi? Actually, it's the same
Haya.
thing. It's the same thing.
From Haya.
Same thing. It is. It's from, okay. I was hoping that it would be a little different. You know what I was hoping for? I was hoping for a Vayikto
Okay.
form like Vayehi. Vayehi. Like that. Remember in Genesis, God
Vayehi
said,
or
let there be light, and there was light, right? Yehi or Vayehi or. Pray tell, how do you form the verb in Hebrew? He will be.
He will be.
He will be.
Vaya.
Vaya
Yay.
Vaya
Yay. Okay,
Yehye
we expect it to be yay. So here's your yiktol prefix right here. Your first root letter, second root letter, and the third was a yod, so it went missing, but it's a lamed yod. Yihye. Now, this form, vayehi, is what form with that vav at the front?
Vekato
Try again.
no
Vayiktal.
Vayiktal
Vayiktol, yeah. Vekatal is future, vayiktol is narrative past. This is a vayiktol. And there's the yiktol prefix letter. There's root number 1. There's root number 2. And the third root yod is missing, just like the previous one. But something else is missing.
Yes.
Even
yod
the mater lectionis letter went missing. This is what's called the apocryphated form. If there's a mater lectionis, bye-bye. All right. Now, what is this one? It is also apocryphated, but it's not vayiktol.
it's Vekato
It's not vekatal. If it were vekatal, it would be haya. Because katal form of haya is haya. So it would be vehaya. That's the vekatal form. And that means he will be. But here we have vi and then yehi, which is the same as this, except instead of a vayiktol, there's just a regular conjunction. This is your jussive. Remember the forms of the verbs that show volition, those volitive verbs? One of them, the third person largely, is the jussive, let him or let it be. That's what we're looking at here. Yehi jussives are also apocryphated, just like vayiktols are.
Yeah.
So let it be matav, his men. That's why we have the let right here. It's because of let it be. Matav. Is this death? Moot?
That's what I thought when I was reading it.
Mata.
If it were from the root moot, then we've got to account for the missing vav here. There's nothing to account for. This dropped entirely to shva. There's no o, there's no u, there's no vav, there's no vowel here. This is a different word.
Yeah. Mata was he or yod. Matai.
A completely different word. Men.
Yes.
I think it's originally mati, and then here with the suffix it becomes matav, but it's his men. This is a synonym pretty much for ish or gever or something like that.
And that's when in modern Hebrew, matai.
That's a different word. Okay. Matai, when in modern Hebrew. And then mispar, safar is to count. So a mispar is a tool used for counting, number. So what are we reading here? Let him be his men number. Wow, that's terse. You can see what the translator did with it. Let his men not be few.
No.
What? You get to just put in the word not wherever you want to? That sounds like a really bad practice. I think what they're saying here is let his men be of number, like significant number. The idea of let them be many. And it looks like the translator here just flipped it into the negative and said, let them not be few. Oh, okay. It's ironic to me, Yechi Reuven, let Reuben live, Va'al Yamot, and not die. Does anybody know a Reubenite today?
God does.
God does.
Yeah.
God does. Okay. Question. What form is this? Yamot.
Yiktar.
That would be Yamut.
But it's there's a etnachta under it, so it might be a different.
There is a column.
Remember? Okay, yeah, exactly. There's a holam instead of a. See, an etnach or an etnachta is a major. It's one of the two most disjuncting cantillation marks. So this absolutely must be some sort of a pausal form. But in pausal form, we expect the u to show up. So why isn't the u showing up even though it's in pausal form? The answer is so close. It's so close.
Joseph.
It is also a jussive form. It is also a jussive form. We know that it's jussive because of the al. Jussive forms will have either al or na attached to it. To say that in a different way, if you ever see a verb that has al or na attached to it, it must be jussive. But Furthermore, what did I say about jussives? They lose the mater lectionis letters because they're apocopated. Boom.
Disappeared.
It disappeared.
Too many years till I can remember all this stuff.
I figure with enough repetition, it'll stick eventually, but
5 years, maybe.
I don't know. I've let me think.
maybe.
I've been studying it about 11 years.
Okay.
But
All right, so it's gonna take me at least another 7.
we have a few minutes left before the hour and a half is up. Would anyone like to read this verse? The last verse. Jesse, read
Okay.
for us, please.
Jesse does.
Jesse does.
VeZot ליכודה ואומר שמע אדוני כל יהודה ואל עמו תביאנו ידיו רב לו ועזר מצריו תהיה.
Yeah. וזאת ליהודה ויאמר, שמע אדוני כל יהודה ואל עמו תביאנו, ידיו רב לו ועזר מצריו תהיה. Wow. Just listening to it sounds, I mean, even like to me, it just sounds so terse and I keep using that word. Anyway, I do not think that word means what you think it means. No, sorry, it's a reference to Princess Bride. V'zot lihuda vayomar, and this is for Judah. So it looks to me like we're going through the blessing, Moses's blessings to the tribes, right? We've seen Reuben. Now we're up to Judah. Okay, so this is for Judah. And he said, there's that vayomar. So that means this is where the quote begins. Shema Adonai Kol Yehuda. Hear, O Lord, the voice of Judah. There's a disjunction. And what form is this? Shema Yisrael.
Imperative.
Right. So we're telling God, King of the universe, to do something. Wow. Usually what we would expect is having a jussive here. Yishma Adonai, may the Lord hear. But here it's a full imperative. Listen up, yo. Well, Moses and God have a pretty close, they're like this. So Shema Adonai, Kol Yehuda, listen to the voice of Judah. Ve'el amo tevi'enu. And to his people bring
Us? Me?
We've talked about it before. There's a dagesh in there. We have two options. Remember that if you have nu, or whether you have hu, if there's a paragogic nun, it gets back assimilated into it as a nun with a dagesh. So instead of tivi'enu or tivi'enhu, it'll look like this both ways. So either you, Lord, oh, bring him or bring us. Probably him. I don't know.
Jared, can you refresh my memory?
Bring him to his people, huh?
Can you refresh my memory on paragogic, please?
I wish I could. Paragogic is simply a fancy Latin word that just means extra noon.
Okay.
In Arabic, the extra noons will typically add some sort of flavor of certainty, but most biblical Hebrew scholars tell us that this paragogic noon pretty much doesn't mean anything by the time we get to biblical Hebrew times. That bit, I don't know how they know. I have no idea how they can be certain that the noon just doesn't mean anything anymore. If we were to try to put a certain level of, if we were going to add certainty because of the extra noon here, then we would translate it as, "Oh Lord, certainly you will bring him to his people.
How is that different than energic noon?
Excuse me. I just said that completely backwards. Energic noon is the one that adds certainty. The paragogic noon is the extra noon on the end of a yiktol form that ends in a vowel. So sorry I got those screwed up. Let's see if we have and
So this is energic.
yeah, when the noon is between a yiktol verb and a suffix, that is the energic noon. And when it's just attached to the end of a verb, that's paragogic. So I'm thinking of example like well, it would have to be plural. So tihu is the normal yiktol form you all will be. With the noon paragogicum, it would be tihyun. Did I write that wrong? I did. Hey goes first. Tihyun. Like this. Why is there an extra noon there? Noon paragogicum. It's just an added noon. This is similar to when there's an extra hey. What do they call it? Hey paragogicum. Or if there's an extra, trying to think whatever else there could be. Grammars love talking about letters paragogicum, and it just simply means added onto the end. Why is there a noon added onto the end of a yiktol verb? Well, in Aramaic, they have extra noons, so maybe it preserves a more original form of the yiktol verb. So this one is the paragogic. And it only occurs in a yiktol that ends in a vowel. So that would be what? Third masculine plural ends in an u. Second masculine plural ends in an u. Second feminine singular ends in a chirik yod. Is that all of them? Yeah, I think so. Okay, yeah, I think so. So those are the only three forms that you can. Oh, and in one of my with one of my private students recently, we actually did find a handful of 2FS forms. I was not sure if there were any paragogic noons on 2FS forms, so I used my Bible software to search for the morphological codes to find it, and they do exist. And they're not even unicorns; they show up multiple times. All right, awesome. Well, we're near the end of the we're out of time actually. If anyone wants to join up for sign up for my course that I'm going to start in January 19th. I know some of you voiced some support for it. Please be patient with me while I'm trying to get everything together. I would like you to go to my website, hungryforhebrew.com, and click on courses up at the top and see if you can actually try and check out. Because when I tried it, it didn't work. If you try it, let me know whether you could get to the checkout phase. And if so, great. And if not, then I have more work to do. Yeah, so I'm really excited for the launch of the course and my level Aleph course. Someone was asking about what kind of content it would include. If you all want, I could. This is essentially going to be the
Syllabus?
the syllabus. I can paste it into the chat. Oh, actually, it may not let me. It's probably too many. Oh, it did. No, nope. Dang it. It's too many. It's too long. So I have to do it in two parts. Ugh. There we go. X, can I do that? And then the next part right there.
Can you put it in on WhatsApp?
That's a great idea. I should probably just just to let you all know, my Hungry for Hebrew dedicated is Telegram. If anyone is still using WhatsApp, that's fine. I'm there, but Telegram is dedicated to Hungry for Hebrew specifically. So I'd like to use that. It's much more powerful than WhatsApp. And some of you are probably saying, oh, great, another phone app to put on my phone.
I tried to find you there. I tried to find it there and I couldn't. How do I get it? Like I do
Okay.
have Telegram.
Okay.
Have you on
All
there.
right. Then what I'll do is I'll put the invite link in the WhatsApp group. And then I can put the cool thing about Telegram is that when somebody new joins, they get to see the last 100 posts. Telegram also allows things like polling the audience and I don't know, lots of things that what WhatsApp can't do, and not to mention WhatsApp is owned by big tech, so there's that. Anyway, I digress.
This looks like A, B, and C and Old Pond combined. Your syllabus.
Remember that my course is going to be an hour and a half session, 30 of them. Not 1 hour, hour and a half, 30 sessions. So it's going to be basically a course and a half. The way that some people might think it's like a course and a half, but remember in university, courses are an hour and a half long. And this free class is an hour and a half long, and I'm looking at you all that you're still here and you're still somewhat attentive. So I want to try to wring all of your mental capacity in each session of an hour and a half. So yeah, it's
That's good. I mean, it looks like, yeah, this is a lot. I wouldn't call it an A. I'd just call it a Jared experience.
well, I already have 3 other levels planned. I'm not going to have 5 levels. I'm going to have 4 levels. And so this is the beginner's level that takes you from an absolute beginner to a really how do I say this, formidable Hebrew student, and put it like that, maybe. Anyway, thank you all so very much
sharpening. It's good as sharpening for those of us who have been doing this for a while.
Oh, sure. And I promise you, you all know how I teach. My tactic is not really like other teachers. And what I've found, and I've said this before, I'll repeat it, but what I've found is that what most curricula will save until upper levels is actually the key to understanding a lot of the irregular forms that we stumble over in the earlier levels. So I think we're putting the cart before the horse. I think we're putting it backwards, and it's causing more frustration than it should.
Amen.
So the way that I'm going to approach it is in a much different way, where it actually gives you the keys to understanding those higher level concepts already in the first level. So tell your friends about it. I really, really, really need this to work because I am ending 2 of my jobs at the end of the month, and I'm pretty much putting all my faith that God can make this happen. So pray for me, join my course, and tell your friends, please. All right, you guys are awesome. Thank you so very much. I look forward to seeing you next Sunday, and we'll be getting into Bereshit, Genesis.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, Lehitrot, Shalom.
Thank you.
Shalom.
Bavakasha.
Okay.